Most people don't actually want to stop worrying. They just want to feel in control again. They want certainty. They want life to give them a clear sign, a green light, a clean exit from everything that feels unstable or unknown. But Carl Jung didn't teach people to escape their emotions. He taught them how to face the parts of themselves they were avoiding, the ones that were silently fueling the worry in the first place. You see, worry doesn't come from the future. It comes from the past, from unprocessed fear, from wounds that haven't been acknowledged, from a version of you that still believes it's not safe to relax. And the cure? It's not another mindset shift or motivational quote. Jung's cure was awareness. Awareness of your shadow, awareness of your patterns, awareness of the fact that the things you avoid inside start to control your life from the outside. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That's not just a quote, it's a roadmap. It's the clearest explanation for why so many people live in cycles of fear, anxiety, and self-sabotage, without knowing why. Most people don't worry because their life is dangerous. They worry because they've never looked directly at the emotional beliefs that are creating the danger. In their mind, in their nervous system, in their energy. Think about this. You say you're worried about money, but what's underneath that? Maybe a belief that you're not enough unless you're productive, or that if you stop grinding, you'll fall behind and lose everything. That's not about money, that's about identity. You say you're worried about losing someone, but what's under that? Maybe a wound that tells you if they leave, you'll be empty. That's not about them, that's about your shadow, the part of you you haven't learned to sit with yet. Jung's cure wasn't to think more positively. It was to look at what's been living in the dark, to stop making worry the enemy and start treating it as a messenger. It shows up because something inside you is unresolved, unacknowledged, unhealed. And here's what most people never realize. Your ego will use worry to keep you distracted. Because as long as you're busy trying to solve things outside you, you never turn around and face what's actually driving the fear. But the second you do, the second you sit down with your fear and say, "All right, I'm listening now," it starts to shrink, not disappear, but soften. Because what we bring into awareness loses its grip. That's the work. That's the cure. Not escaping the worry, but integrating what created it. Let me tell you something you probably haven't heard in a long time. You don't have to carry all of this. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to solve every future problem in your head before it happens. You don't have to stay up at night calculating every way your life might go wrong, just so you can feel prepared. Worry has convinced you that you're being responsible, that the weight you carry is noble, that staying alert, overthinking, checking every detail, that it's what keeps you safe. But that's not safety. That's ego in survival mode. That's the shadow whispering, "If I relax, I'll fall apart. If I stop worrying, something will go wrong." And Jung would tell you, that voice isn't your wisdom. It's your wound. That part of you that believes the only way to stay alive is to stay afraid. You can still be awake, alert, and aware without being afraid. You can live in the unknown without living in anxiety. You can prepare for your future without being poisoned by it. You can care deeply about your life and still choose peace over panic. But it starts when you realize the version of you that's been carrying all this worry, that's not the most powerful version of you. That's the protective version of you. That's the ego-built identity that formed in childhood, in trauma, in environments that taught you. Be careful, be small, don't trust anyone. Always be ready. But you're not there anymore. You're not a child. You're not in survival. You're here, right now, growing, waking up, remembering that you get to decide who runs your life. Your past or your presence. Carl Jung taught that integration was the key to peace. Not perfection, not control, integration. The moment you stop rejecting the scared parts of yourself and instead hold them, hear them, understand them, they stop needing to scream. They stop hijacking your thoughts. They stop controlling your body. They stop dictating your identity. And in that space after the fear softens, you'll feel something most people never reach. Quiet. Not because everything is solved, but because you're not resisting anymore. You're in alignment, not with your ego, but with yourself. And from that place, everything begins to shift. Worry becomes a visitor, not a ruler. Fear becomes a signal, not a prison. And you become the calm in the storm. And that is Jung's cure. Let's slow this down for a second, because I know what it's like to live with that weight, to feel like worry is your baseline, like it's just who you are now. Always alert, always tense, always a few seconds ahead of yourself, trying to predict the next wave. But I want you to hear this clearly. You are not the worried version of you. That's not your identity. That's just a role you've been playing, a survival mask, a learned reflex. And Carl Jung would tell you, that version of you was created by the mind, not discovered by the soul. You were never meant to wake up and immediately feel stress in your chest. You were never meant to constantly question yourself. You were never meant to see rest as weakness. But ego does that. It convinces you that being constantly on is power, that controlling everything is strength, that worrying is some twisted form of love or awareness. But it's not. It's a loop that only ends when you step outside of it and say, this isn't me anymore. And you just stop feeding it. You stop giving your energy to the thoughts that always end in the same dead end. You stop trying to become perfect so you can finally relax. You stop making your nervous system carry what your truth already released. And when that moment comes, and it will come, you won't feel some huge spiritual fireworks moment. You'll just feel clear, light, like your chest has more room, like your silence finally belongs to you again. That's peace. That's not the ego's version, the one that's loud, proud, and polished. That's the real kind, the quiet kind that doesn't need to explain itself to anyone. And once you feel it, even for a moment, you'll realize you don't need to chase anything to be okay. You just need to stop believing that worry is a part of who you are. It's not. It's just what you picked up along the way. Now, you can put it down and live lighter on purpose. From truth, not tension.